All right. Hey, Fiberistas. Happy Wednesday. You know what that means? It's we're live. Anyway, I'm Stacy Budge Camison, fiber artist at UrbanGypZ, and today I'm going to share with you a little bit of some of my current work and talk to you about how I'm taking my current work and building a portfolio. Let me see if I'm going live. Is it even showing up? Oh, good. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so today I'm going to share with you a little bit about portfolio building and kind of share with you the process because I'm in the process of building my portfolio. Anyway, so thanks for joining. I'm so glad you guys are here. First, let me talk about portfolios. When I was a graphic designer, I used to hire out photography, illustration, and I used to be in charge of hiring assistants and interns, and I looked at a lot of portfolios. I'm in the process of building my portfolio. Let me turn that down. Sorry. So anyway, so I've looked at a lot of portfolios, and now granted, a fine art portfolio is going to be a little bit different than a fine art portfolio, but not really by much. There's some guidelines that kind of run across the gamut of building a portfolio. Anyway, so I'm going to go over those a little bit before I start to show you my work. And I've got my notes here. All right. Anyway, one of the things, first of all, one of the reasons why you might want to consider building a portfolio, even if you just kind of feel like you're doing artwork as a hobby, primarily, I think one of the best reasons to start building an official portfolio is just for yourself. I think mainly to kind of be able to stand back and look at all that you're working on, and this to kind of hone in on some directions as to what's working, what's not working, and to kind of get a feel for how your work is representing you and your creative genius, if that makes sense. And when I say building a portfolio, I also mean, nowadays, I mean, way back when we had these big black cases and everything kind of went into these cases and you schlepped it around and you showed your work. Well, these days, everything's done on the internet. So it's worthwhile to take really good photographs of your work and to put it, on a website or put it in somewhere, even if it's, the photographs are together in a folder. That way you're just going to have everything in one place, so where you can kind of step back and get some perspective as to, how your work is forming and how the direction it may be going in. But I encourage you to put your work on your website, because I also think it's important to share your work. And that being said, my portfolio is not on my website, but I'm in the process of doing it. So yes, sharing your work is really important, and not just on Instagram, but if you pull it together, in a page or, on just a little simple website, it kind of gives you that sense of pride of, yes, I'm doing this, even if it's just for a hobby, pulling it together, I think it will help you in owning what you're doing, owning your voice, and owning the direction that you're taking your work in. Plus, I mean, your mom's going to want to see your work and your friends, and then that way too, when you run into people and talk about this thing that you're making and these things that you're doing, you can point people into your work online and share that. Also, I guess it kind of sets yourself up. So if you're starting to kind of pull your work together, and maybe you're not, thinking about going pro right now, but you might down the line, and this is going to kind of set yourself up for preparing for that. It's great for networking. If you're going to be applying for shows, even if you're applying to like juried craft shows, it's really great to have, that to pull from, that you can either point point people to for your application, or B, you can pull out, some of your best images that's pertinent to that show and have that ready to send off to whoever you're applying with. And it's just great for networking. Now, I recently joined some local art guilds. They kind of help provide resources for artists. And one of the things that they offer is to link your website and your work. That's why I'm kind of in a rush to get my portfolio up, is because they offer this service to have me, be shown as part of the guild with my work. And who doesn't love that? So anyway, so some of the things you need to keep in mind if you're building a portfolio is that you don't want to put too many things up there. Usually, like when I was looking at work, your mind goes numb after about 20 pieces. You really want to kind of keep it to like 12 to 18 pieces that are kind of cohesive. And that's the next thing, is that you want your work to be consistent. When you look at the work, if you think about artists that are famous that like Picasso and Monet and artists like that, or even if you think about fiber artists that like I could probably pick out Moon Rover's yarn in a heartbeat, because she has a cohesive style. So you want that to be represented in your portfolio as well. Also, you want to make sure that you have recent work. Try not to go more than 2 to 3 years prior. I would, I know that some people have some really good work that might be 5, 6, 7 years old, but if you can, try to keep it pretty current. That's going to show two things. It's going to show that A, you're kind of keeping up with the evolution of your work, and B, it's going to kind of make it clear that you're still making work. So it's kind of helping keep it current, just like you want to keep your work current in your resume. It's the same type of thing. All right, so let's say that you have a bunch of pieces, and one of the ways you can probably try and get more pieces in is if you break your portfolio up into collections. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a minute when I start to show you what I've got going on here. And by collections, like, you might have a series that all seem to have a cohesive theme, like maybe there's a color or it's a technique. And you can break out maybe 6 to 8 of those pieces and call it a collection within your portfolio. And that's not a bad idea. I mean, when I was looking at design, maybe somebody might break out their book design apart from their advertising design, which it's two totally different animals. But even though there might be a cohesive style, it's a way to kind of separate out those collections a little bit. And make it a little easier to navigate, and it kind of gives a little more organization to whoever's looking at your work, as well as to, for you to help kind of figure out some direction. But if you do that, I wouldn't do more than like 3 or 4 collections within one big portfolio. And I would, if you do break things out into collections, I would maybe limit it to like 8 to 10 pieces per collection. But that's still going to give you, more than if you had everything in one big portfolio. But that's not to say that putting it all in one big portfolio is a bad thing. It's just another way to organize stuff. So, anyway, all right. That being said, let me make sure I've covered everything in my notes. I'm going to share with you what I've got going on. All right, so I'm kind of still toying with how I'm going to break my work up into collections. But I'm going to share with you what some of my work and what I've got going on. All right, I've got a lot of these type of scarves. All right, and this is where I started. This type of scarf. This is where I started with my little rigid head loom, and this is, if you guys found me through YouTube, you've probably found me through weaving with art yarn video, and this is the type of thing. I've got that, and I've got a bunch of these. I've got this one that has kind of a brown and pink theme, and I've got this one that's like this hot pink type of thing going on here, as well as, well, let me put this one, let's see, this one. See, so these all kind of look similar, even though they're a little bit different. Let's see, oh, I've got another one like this. So I've got quite a few, and I have photographed some of these. I do it on a dress form. If you can get live models to photograph your work, sometimes that's better, but two things. Make sure your model is wearing something relatively plain, and make sure that she's not like insanely gorgeous. I hate to say this, but you don't want your model to overshadow your work. And a lot of times too, I even would shoot models where they're not looking at the camera, because I don't want the model to be more engaging than the work. Anyway, but if you can shoot on live models, then that's great, but dress forms I think is fine. I've even had where I've shot things on hangers just very plainly, and I think that works just as well too. Okay, so I've got these pieces. How many is that? 5, I think. All right, and so I might flesh that out with another piece or two. And I also have this piece. Now this piece looks very, very similar to these here. Let me move this aside. It looks very similar to these, but it's different in the fact that it's a cow. But I think style-wise, I don't think I would separate this out from that collection. So I probably will include this one into that collection. I also have this big piece, and this is a wrap. And this is a similar style. And this I did on my big loom. I'm not sure. I think for now I would put it into that collection with those scarves, because it is very similar to that stuff, that style. But I kind of would like to do some more wraps. I think if I end up with more than 6 wraps, then I would break this out into a separate collection, and if I need to, reduce the number in the collection of those other scarves. All right, so there's that. All right, I also have these. Now these are done with one of those rigid heddles that are 2.5 DPI, and I'm using my art yarn as a warp. See, and I've got another one like right here. And I have another one that I photographed that my mother-in-law has. All right, so I have 3 of these. These also, I think, would go really well in that first collection, because they all kind of have that same feel. But yet again, like with the wraps, I wouldn't be opposed to breaking those out and starting another collection of these art yarn warps. All right, but for now, since I only just have a couple of these, then it would be fine to put that in with that collection. All right, the other thing I have is this piece. Let me see if I can get it. It's kind of gigantic. All right, so this piece, let's see if I can put this on. This piece is like a lot of dreads. All right, you see this? So when you wear it, it's like this big messy dread piece. Anyway, so this piece is really, I feel like this piece is a little different from the other pieces, and I think it's because there's such a dread focus, and the colors there's something about the colors that are just a little different. I think it just doesn't feel like it's necessarily in that same family. So I would definitely want to pull this out as a separate piece. Now, bear in mind, I also have this piece, and I could also end up with this piece along with this piece and start a collection of work using just the dreads. And I think I might end up doing that because I really like the texture of these dreads, but it just stands out as so different from those other pieces. So that's another way to kind of, I think that's another direction I might end up going in with this stuff. But for now, I think as much as I love this piece, it's probably my favorite piece of all of the ones that I have, I don't know that I would include it in my portfolio right now. Just straight up, just because it's not really matching with what I've got going on. And unless I can pull together a way to kind of draw it into the rest of the stuff or build up another collection, then I think I'm just going to leave it out, which I hate. All right, I also have this piece, which is crocheted, as well as another crocheted scarf using art yarn. And I think that this feels like it's sort of in the same vein as the other pieces. If I can get together 3 of these, I would put it in with that original collection. Otherwise, I might leave it out, but I'm leaving myself open to the idea of adding a couple of hand knits into that stuff. All right, I'm going to stop for a minute and I'm going to read the questions. Oh, also, somebody had posted a question in, but I think it was on another video just before I came on, wanting to know what length that I usually make my scarves. I found, depending on the width, if I'm making like kind of a wide wrap type scarf, I try to make it at least 80 inches long. If it's shorter, honestly, I might even try to go longer. I know that sounds weird. I know you had asked if I think that making it shorter would make more sense because of the detail, and I don't necessarily think so. I think what it has to do is the amount of times I like to wrap it around. And I like to wrap it around at least once, and usually that's an 80-inch scarf. And I think that's with fringe. So anyway, yeah, I usually try to go at least 80 inches. I want to say that this big, let's see if I can find it. I just put it down here. This big wrap, when I did the warp calculation video, and I'll put a link down below. When I did the warp calculation video, I think I had put that, and I measured it based on this wrap. And also, so I'll put a link down to that video because then I accounted for how much the fringe was. And this wrap, like I said, goes around at least once, and then I can pull over for the fringe. All right, so there's that question. In the future, can you show the aspirated tapestry techniques? Yes, definitely. Tapestry act, well, I say yes, definitely. I can show a little bit of that, but at the same time, that's also part of my paid offering, so I'm a little hesitant to show for free what I'm charging other people to see. So, but if you're interested in the I have in the Beyond the Basics, one of the lessons is the tapestry techniques, and I will be embellishing on that once I break all those lessons out, which I should be going live with the first of those lessons sometime late January. But if you buy the Beyond the Basics now, I grandfather you in for the future lessons that I'm breaking out. All right, that being said. So I'm also looking at, I have these little pieces. Oh, did I lose a couple of those little pieces? This is, I have a bunch of little pieces like this, and I'm making a few pouches. This I think I would separate out into a separate collection, and last week I wound the warp for some hand woven art bracelets. Since those are little pieces as well, I would probably put the pouches and the bracelets into the same collection and share that. All right, so, and those are all kind of under the umbrella of wearables. Well, I guess the pouches necessarily would. Yeah, I would probably put the pouches with wearables as well. So I kind of, you know, if I have a big if I'm honing down the scarves, the wraps, and this stuff, I would have like a wearables collection, and then I might have a home deck collection. And that by home deck, I mean my pieces like this piece, and I've made a bunch of these. So this is probably would be another collection, is where I have the clay plus the fiber. And in that might also be, I know I've talked about this piece. I've got a couple of these. So I might make these clay plus fiber a separate collection, or I might just do the home deck as a whole collection, depending on how many I've got going on. Now I also have, for those, I have some where these are the wall weavings, where I'm hanging it off this ceramic tile. So I've got several of these. I've got this. Ooh, this one. I've got this, and I also have this. All right, so these are 3 that I've completed that actually were hanging on my wall. But I also have, I've been making, let me put this down before I break them. I'm also making, I've made a bunch more of these hangers. So I've got several. I think I was working on making at least 25 of these, but I wouldn't put 25 in that portfolio, although I would document it, but I would take out, the 10 best and put that in what I would call my official portfolio. So there's that is. And I've got this series where I'm doing, it's kind of like, this piece, but I'm going to do it in the series of these tiles and connect them together. You see, if you can see, or maybe even this way. Connect them together so it looks almost like a granny square Afghan. So there's a lot. So when I get those pieces together, then I just try to group it into collections, try to keep my collections to no more than 3 or 4 and 8 to 10 pieces per collection. And as I make new work that I think is fits into the collection better, then I might take out an older piece and put in the new piece and just keep rotating it out. But yet I still keep the documentation of those pieces, just so I'll have, and also so I can see how my work's progressing. If I feel stuck as far as a direction that I've been going in, I can go back to some older work and look and see how I did things, and maybe go back up and start down a different path with, using some of my older ideas. Anyway, so that's kind of basically where I'm at with trying to build my stuff. Like I said, I'm trying to get it to where it's online, to start getting my work out there and hopefully maybe get into some shows. I know that I definitely am in the process of networking with the art community here in Raleigh, and also just to kind of share with people what I've been working on. And for myself, so I know that I'm not kind of going haphazardly, making one thing that doesn't look like the other. This way it kind of forces me to think of the bodies of work cohesively, and from there that shakes out your style. Anyway, I hope that helps. All right, does anybody have any questions? I know I kind of threw a lot at you. I'm going to give it a minute to see if you have any questions. Oh, and I'm taking the rest of this month off from the live cast, but I'm going to be back on December 1st with Vlogmas. And what I did Vlogmas last year. You can see all the videos from that. What Vlogmas is where the video bloggers on YouTube take the month of December up to Christmas and blog and do a video every day. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. And I probably will still do a live cast or two thrown in there. We'll just see how it works out, because video editing is very labor intensive. But I'm glad I did it last year because I learned a lot. So anyway. All right. I don't see any more questions. Oh, I love the Vlogmas. Oh, I'm glad you like I like doing the Vlogmas. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. All right. I guess that's it. Thanks you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. We're not going anywhere. I think I have a friend that's going to come to town, but my parents are coming tomorrow for an early Thanksgiving. So this is the first time they've really hung out in this Raleigh area. So I'm excited to see them. Anyway, when can we see your dress doll figures? When I get them done. Unfortunately, I haven't done them yet. I'm still working on finishing that white dress that I did on the video a few weeks ago. I did finish a dress for this piece, but I didn't like it. I put it on and I didn't like it, so I'm going back to the drawing board on that and reworking that dress. So anyway, all right, if that's all the questions, then I am going to sign off and have a good Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys in Vlogmas. But if you have any questions, let me know, and if you want to see anything else demoed, then hit me up and I will add it to future live casts or Vlogmas. So anyway, I will talk to you later. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.